Season 4. I can't believe it. Season 4 of Fairway to Heaven. Talking the Sony Open and the 2024 PGA season. We're back, baby. We're live in 30 seconds. A very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fairway to Heaven Season 4, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, retweet button. Wherever you're watching, I greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on Twitter, Twitter comments are back. So if you want to comment on the show, click the video, and there's a little box that pops up. You can chat with us right there from Twitter. They pop up on the screen, and we can answer all your questions. If you're new to the show, I am Phil Stiefel. We got Jason Sullivan sitting in next to me, my partner for 4 years now, doing this show. And I just, Jason, when I thought about it today, season 4, and I started thinking about the November Masters of 2020 when you, Josh, and I got started with this. I couldn't believe it's been 4 years that we've been doing this.
Just to think too, it all started with I think you liked one of my tweets about golf, and I noticed that you wrote about golf at the time, so I was like, damn, you wrote about golf, and it all started from there. It was awesome.
It's kind of crazy how it all took off so quickly. But season 4, and guys, if you're new to the show, what we do is we break down the DraftKings slate for each golf tournament every single week. We give out our best bets. We've got some new things we're going to do this year as well. We're going to do some building lineups on this show. We're going to do some one and dones, a little bit of everything. And of course, as always, answer any and all of your questions right here live on the show, talking anything fantasy and gambling, golf related, or golf related, period. Don't ask us any swing advice because I can't give you any swing advice. But outside of that, we'll pretty much answer anything you want right there. Jason, this season basically kicks off this week with the Sony Open. We had the Tournament of Champions last week, but the first real event of the year is this week. So let's just dive into it. We're in the Hawaii swing. As you phonetically spelled out for me before the show, Waialae Country Club in Honolulu. Not how it's spelled, but that's how it says. What are your thoughts at first, before we even get into this week's event, about the Hawaii? Do you like the Hawaii swing? The few events they have out there in Hawaii?
I do like it just because of mainly because of the scenery, honestly. It is crazy to me that last week was just kind of like a bomber's paradise, 7,600 yards, wide open fairways. I mean, this week is like 7,000 yards almost on the dot, plus super narrow fairways. So it's weird that, they're so close together, but yet the courses are so different.
Yeah, absolutely. They're totally different courses. And, when you're playing in Hawaii and these events in Hawaii, no matter what, there will always be the weather factor that comes into play. And that's why you see so many different types of scores at all these events, the few weeks that they're out there in Hawaii. But the one thing that's been a little bit different this week compared to last few years down here at the Sony Open is the field's a little stronger than normal. Obviously, Jon Rahm's missing. We'll get into some season-long conversation at the end of the show. But because they expanded the Century Tournament of Champions, more guys are out there in Hawaii. You got a bigger field, a deeper field. And to me, I think you're going to see a strong push from the PGA to try to convince who's left of the big names to play more frequently this year.
No, I 100% agree. I was going to ask you a question too. Like, what do you think about, how do you feel last week with no Rory and obviously Rahm is gone now? Kind of like the bigger names, it just kind of seemed like it lacked a little luster for me.
I think I'm a big fan of the Tournament of Champions event normally. I just love to see all the winners get together. I didn't actually like how deep the field was because they invited all different guys in the top 50 and this and that. I didn't like that aspect of last week's tournament, but it also I don't know. Jon Rahm to me, and I said we'd get into the season long later, but we'll just get into it right now. Jon Rahm leaving for LIV has really got me down on this this PGA Tour season. Like, it's not going to make me tune into live golf. Everybody knows I'm not a live golf guy, but I'm down. Like, John Rahm is one of my favorite players. I think he's the best player in the world, and he's outside of Tiger and Rory, the biggest star name there is out there, the biggest personality. Scotty Scheffler's a great golfer, maybe the best in the world, but he doesn't have the personality.
No, he's a quiet guy.
I feel like it's going to be lacking this year without John Rahm around it. I don't know, less motivated maybe to watch every swing of every tournament. I don't know.
You know, it's funny. We've talked a lot in the past. Obviously, Brooks leaving was a big thing. DJ leaving. Cam Smith kind of struck a chord with both of us. I know you're a big Cam Smith guy, but like, this to me seems like the first time that I've been really like, wow, damn, really? Like Rahm of all people has to go. But I mean, this just shows you they have to figure out a merger. The PGA Tour can't go on like this. I feel like it's these tournaments, they're trying their best to do, to put a good product out there, but I just don't think they have the excitement right now. They got to figure out, like you said, there's not needle movers anymore. It's like you have Tiger, who doesn't play very often. Rory, I still think is a needle mover, but like besides that, like who are you like really pumped to go see? Like you said, Scotty's an amazing golfer, but the personality's not there. You don't have like villains like you used to, like Patrick Reed, Brooks, Bryson. Those guys aren't around anymore, so it's tough.
Yeah, you bring up the villain thing, and that's kind of funny because golf does need a villain, and I guess to an extent, at some point in his career, Tiger was a villain. At some point in his career, Rory was.
Phil,
like,
even.
Phil for sure. Rory, like, I almost need Rory to become the villain. Like, just trash talk the PGA Tour, trash talk somebody. I don't know. It needs a rivalry. Somebody's got to hate somebody. We need a Bryson versus Brooks type rivalry. Hell, if I'm the PGA Tour, Jason, I'm like getting in a few of the top players' ears. I'm like, yo, even if you got to fake it, just start some drama, start something, do something, because now that and it's crazy because only one real player left for live this offseason, John Rahm. But that one player, when Rory's not playing, Rahm's always playing. So like, you're always going to be missing one of the top two players in the world, and it just breaks my heart. It really does. And
so you're saying we need like a Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty kick through the window, like Jordan Spieth does a super kick to JT's face or something. Like we need that.
It needs something. And there's too much. Like, I always talk about this when I talk UFC, because I'm not much of a UFC guy now. But back in the day when I was into UFC, you had like the Tito Santana, what was his name? The Huntington Beach bad boy. Him and Chuck Liddell had a huge rivalry back in the late 90s.
I've never been a big UFC guy, really.
There were rivalries. People wanted to kick each other's faces in. And now UFC, everybody hugs and kisses after every fight. And outside of Conor McGregor, there's no personalities. Like, I need personalities in golf, and now they're all gone. The last one is gone in John Rahm.
Tito Ortiz, is that the guy?
Tito Ortiz, that's who I was thinking of. Him and Chuck Liddell, they literally were best friends that became enemies. PGA Tour doesn't have that. What's up, TMC? We're talking golf tonight. Just golf. Nothing else tonight. Like I say on the morning show, your opinion matters. Your opinion means nothing on this show. Just so you know.
Unless you talk about golf, then it does.
Unless you talk about golf, then your opinion matters.
I don't know. I think going back to like
how you're going to golf with snow everywhere. You're going to get in a plane and fly to Hawaii.
You're going to go to Hawaii. That's what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Kind of to circle back to what we were talking about with the live thing. I know we talked about this last year and how it all played out and everything, but I still feel for Rory. Like, I mean, talk about one guy that the PGA just threw directly under the bus and drove over like 10 times. It's like, you're the voice of everything. You're strong. You're strong. You're strong. Now your buddies are gone. So good luck.
Yeah, good luck. I kind of feel bad for him because I'm sure he's turned money down from live. He's
he
probably been offered as much, if not more, than John Rahm.
Yeah, he moved out of the U.S. Like, he doesn't even live in America anymore. Like, he's just trying to get away from it now. I'm sure he can't. He doesn't seem happy.
The conversation definitely hurt his game to an extent last year, in my opinion. And this year, because Rahm's not going to be there even 12 times this year, he's going to have to face even more questions. Who else is going to be the face outside of Rahm? Scheffler is as dry as, paint. You know what I mean? So, who's going to be the guy that's facing all the questions? It's going to be him outside of the 4 weeks that Tiger Woods is out there. I thought of this, and, we say the PGA Tour's got problems and live golf. There's one thing that can save the PGA Tour, in my opinion. Do you know what it is? I don't know if I mentioned this to you or not.
No. What do you think?
Charlie Woods can save the PGA Tour.
I think you tweeted about that.
I did tweet about it like a month or two ago
Yeah.
during that little father-son event that he played. Tiger Woods going one-on-one versus Charlie Woods in an event and getting paired together. Hey, if I'm the people that run Augusta, I'm giving a special exemption to have Charlie Woods play as an amateur. I'm telling you. I know it sounds crazy and you're smiling as I say it. Charlie Woods being as good as his
It would
dad,
be.
maybe even like chasing Tiger records, that saves golf right there.
Even if he's remotely a star, that's could be the best thing that could ever happen to golf right
Like,
now.
I mean, like, how what are the odds that the best golfer of all time, son, is as good as he is?
Right. It's
So,
wild.
I don't know, something about Charlie Woods versus Tiger Woods walking up the 18th fairway at Augusta, that'll get people talking again about the PGA Tour.
Oh my
But
god, that would be
outside of
awesome.
that, I don't know what saves the current regime of the I can't even believe that what's his name is even in charge of the PGA anymore. Or
Well, and
still.
no, I can't either. Yeah, Jay Monahan. I can't either, but, it's one of those things too. I think they're trying, but they're just missing. Like, they're shooting and missing. Like, the
Yep.
the elevated event thing, that kinda fell flat last year just because of the schedule almost. Like, it was like a major, I think it was like the Masters, and then all of a sudden, boom, an elevated event the next week. It was like there was no excitement for these events. They gotta figure out something. I don't know what it is, but obviously a merger is much needed.
Yeah. Merger is definitely needed of some kind.
Right.
And I don't even know if a merger solves the problem. You know, I don't know. Allowing the guys to bounce back. If you let the PJ guys bounce to the DP tour and other tours, why not just let them all bounce around? Let them all. They're already freelance workers to an extent. Just let them be freelance everywhere. You
Well,
know
and
what I
they were
mean?
saying too, I don't know if you heard the idea that was kinda bouncing around a little bit when they were saying that for the President's Cup, do live against PGA Tour. Almost at this point, though, I mean, like, okay, so you have Rory, you have
I like that.
Scheffler, I guess Spieth, JT, but, like, it'd be a pretty good matchup. I mean, you gotta think, like, LIV is kinda loaded now.
Yeah, I mean, the Live Golf has the elite of the elite golfers. Honestly, at this point, they also just have a lot more of the bottom feeders as well.
Right,
They have like 10 of the 20 best
right.
golfers, but they also have 10 of the worst
Cam
golfers that are professional.
Tringali and, yeah,
Yeah,
Matt Wolff
exactly.
and all those guys,
Yeah,
yeah.
Matt. Did you see Matt Wolf dancing?
No.
There's a video of Matt Wolf dancing. I guess at the Live kickoff like party that they were having. My God, it's cringeworthy. It's
Talk
so
about a
bad.
fall from grace, like, he went from being, like, the next guy to just everybody can't stand him, including Brooks, who
Yeah.
hates his own team.
He went from being the next guy to Mr. Withdrawal. He did this little dip with his knees, and I instantly saw 3 withdrawals coming from this little dance move he made and everything. But we'll get back to all that in a minute. Let's look at this week. The Sony Open, Waialae Country Club in Honolulu. Again, like I said, deeper field, biggest name in my opinion in the field. Not the most expensive on the DraftKings board, but the biggest name, Matthew Fitzpatrick, former U.S. Open winner. You got the Open champion Brian Harman. You've got some really good golfers in this field. From your course knowledge, what type of golfer succeeds the most at Waialae Country Club?
It's been a pretty wide range, but I would say for the most part, it's the plotter, like the Brian Harmon type, which is weird because, okay, he's made a lot of cuts here, Brian Harmon, but he doesn't have the high finishes, I guess. But that seems like, I mean, his game seems tailor made for this course. A guy that hits a lot of fairways. It's only 7,000 yards, so it's not a really, really long course by any means. You got to plot, you got to be strong around the green. This is all things that Brian Harmon is, but he
Mhm.
just hasn't been able to find his way to the
So,
winner's circle. That's the kind of guy, the good putter, the good short game. That's huge.
but see, here's the thing: like everything you said about Waialae is accurate, but everything you said about Brian Harmon is the same. There's a lot of guys that you would think on paper would have success here,
Mhm.
and everybody says like it's so important to have, course. This is like one of those courses like Augusta where experience around the course means something. But there's a lot of guys like Brian Harmon, Justin Rose for one, hasn't had huge success here. He seems like a guy that should have success here. There's a lot of guys that fit into that category, should have success, but haven't had success at this course. And to me, that's telling me to stay away from the course history to an extent and just focus in on who the best players are on approach, who the best guys are that are going to hit those fairways, that are going to hit the greens in regulation and whatnot.
So as you mentioned, this is I think it's second most correlated course in terms of course history. So that's obviously
Yeah,
really important after Augusta, obviously. But you bring up an interesting point. A lot of these guys that you're like, oh, they have great course history, don't have the high end finishes. Brian
right,
Harmon, Corey Connors has been like kind of an example of that. Like everybody's
right.
on him, everybody's betting him this week. I mean, I think 12th is his best finish here. There's a lot of guys. I don't know if you
12th
noticed.
last year, 11th
Yeah,
the year before that.
11th. Yeah. So I don't know if you noticed, kind of like looking at the course history, is that there's a lot of guys that have pop years, and then the
Yeah.
next year the cut or finished
Well,
50th or something.
look at Matt Kuchar. Everybody loves Matt Kuchar this week. 7th the last 2 years, 2 missed cuts before that, and then he won it the year before. So it's 7th, miscut, first. That's like as all over the place as you can get with this course.
JJ Spawn's another one. I was looking at him because he popped in my model this week, and
Mm.
it was like 3 missed cuts in a row, and then last year was like 12th or something, or
Yeah.
6th, one of those. Like,
I mean, even the guy. So, I mean, Corey Connors actually has over the last 5 years the most shots gained total at this course. 12th, 11th, 12th, the last 3 times he played here. So, I mean, it's Hideki who's in this field. Last year finished 48th. He's got a 48th, a first, and a 51st in this event. So, I mean, course history matters and it's correlated here, but does it matter? Or do
it's
you
all
just
over.
want to try to find the best guys right now? I don't know.
I mean, it's all over. Like you said, it's all over the place. I think that's the biggest thing, is that you see so many guys that, like, Keegan's another one. It's like
Yeah.
T12 miscut, T12 miscut the last 4
Yeah.
years. I mean, it's hard to figure out.
Yeah, it's really hard to figure out. So let's look at the top of the board. We don't have to dive into each and every guy. So we got a few things we're doing differently this year, guys. We're going to build lineups this year with our new friends, at Fantasy Golf Pod, who are helping promote the show this year. We're going to build a lineup later in the show. We're going to do a one and done and all. So we might not go into every single name on the DraftKings slate. But let's start at the top here. There's 4 guys above 10K: Aberg, Hatton, Fitz, and Degala. Shockingly, Aberg is the highest priced guy, which I think is way overblown for me. The hype that Aberg's getting right now. Fitz and Degala are 2 guys that right now, according to FantasyNational.com, are under 10% projected ownership right now. Matthew Fitzpatrick, a former U.S. Open champion, a guy that's never played here, but fits this type of course perfectly. It's like 8% projected own. Are there any of these guys on your field or in your peripheral right now this week?
You know what's funny is, I think the top end is the hardest part. Like, the
Mhm.
hardest part to figure out. Like, I have tons of plays that I like in the 7s, a few in the
Mhm.
6s, a few in the 8s, but the top end is the hardest part. I don't really feel
Absolutely.
great about any of these guys. I mean, we saw Oberg last week come out, and he, like you said, played his worst round in a long, or worst tournament in a long time. Hatton was okay. Fitz was okay. Like, Thigala was really good, but this doesn't seem like the kind of course for him. Like, he
Right.
needs a wide open course. He's not going to be good on a plotters course like this. So I don't really know. I think Hatton's my strongest lean, because I feel like he's the best birdie maker of the group, but I don't have a strong lean on any of them, really, to be honest.
Yeah. See, I lean towards Fitzpatrick in this upper group, but only for one reason, and that's because that 9K range, which starts with Brian Harmon at 9,900, Corey Connors, Eric Cole, who's going to be a hot name all year long, Chris Kirk, who did he end up winning last week? I think he
He
won
won.
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he was up there. I didn't finish. I was so tuned out of the tournament champions, I didn't even watch who won. All these guys in the 9K are in that 17 to 22% ownership. So to me, that's got me almost skipping, not completely, but skipping, a lot of those guys, are heavy on those guys, and leaning towards Matthew Fitzpatrick, because I mean, you're a Matt Fitzpatrick fan. I know you love Matthew Fitzpatrick. Um, I don't love him regularly, but I think in this field, in my opinion, he's the best golfer in this field.
You brought up a good point too, I feel like, is that when you look at the 9K guys, like, who right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sorry. Back to the Eagles tomorrow morning. Already got that set up. And we are going to get that is actually on my notes here to talk about that, Marshawn. So we will get into that for sure.
What do you
Is
but
that
you kind of brought up an interesting
Fitzmagic's
point.
brother? No, he has no relation to Fitzmagic at all, Marshawn.
I wish I did. No.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Go
mean
ahead.
Fitzpatrick. Gotcha. No, wrong country.
Yeah. Wrong country.
No, I
Yeah.
think you brought up an interesting point with the 9K guys. It's like, okay, those 9K guys are all gonna be super popular. Like you said,
Mhm.
Cole and Connors and
Connors.
Henley. I mean, they're all gonna be super popular. Who's a better golfer? Those 3 guys, or Hatton and Fitz? To me, it's Hatton and Fitz. I mean, if they're gonna be half the ownership, I'd rather play the 2 better golfers.
Here, Hatton right now is at 14.6 projection. Matthew Fitzpatrick's at 8.5.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
You're playing
Yeah.
at less ownership and better golfers.
I mean, I've already built my first 20 lineups this week, and Matthew Fitzpatrick's my most
Yeah.
click guy. He was the first guy that got to 5 clicks, and he got 11 out of 20 clicks for me. I know he doesn't have history here, but he's just too good of a golfer to pass up on 8%, in my opinion.
Did he ever find
It
his
is.
clubs? Do we know if he ever found his clubs?
Oh, did he lose his clubs?
His or Hawaiian Airlines or something, whatever he flew
Oh
was.
man,
They
I
lost
gotta
his-
take
they lost
notes
his
here. I
clubs.
Look
gotta look.
into that because I might have to change everything on that one. Right
He was
there.
tweeting about it yesterday, I believe. So
Goddamn airlines, man, always ruining everything.
gotta fly
Everything
private.
right now.
You got enough money. Fly private.
Yeah, I'm sure he can get them. Get a new set sent. Did not have the energy. Yeah, sorry. Don't watch Flipping the Birds. They were the show on before us here on Philadelphia Sports Network. So we're on board that you're liking Hatton, I'm liking Fitz at the top. Tagala, I get what you're saying. Tagala is another guy like Eric Cole that's going to get a lot of hype this year. I'm just not sure about Tagala and Cole, how much hype, if they're going to be able to live up to the hype. Somebody's got to step up and be that star this year. I thought Eric Cole was a rookie last year, and he was. He's like 400 years old
I
already.
think he's 36. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's not the answer to golf right now. But there is another name in the 9K range, and I want to ask you your opinion on it. I clicked them 3 times out of 20 just because of ownership and because of I don't want to miss out on when he comes back. What are your thoughts on Will Zalatoris? He's at 4.5 ownership project. He's only 9,300. The last time we saw him play golf, he was winning in 2022. Before he hurt was at his back. And back issues are always a problem and sketchy in golf. But he's had a year off. What are your thoughts on Will Zalatoris this week? But also, is he a guy that could be the star that helps save golf? He is fairly young.
He can be that guy 100%. If he gets back to the way he was, I 100% think he could be. For me, I've heard a lot of people, I think Rick Run Good was one of them. You were talking about him too. Is like, I think I want to wait and see. I know a lot of people want to be early on him. I think I'm going to do the opposite and be late on him. I want to see it first.
Yeah, and there was a point before he hurt his back and went down. He was always one of my most clicked guys. I've always liked his game. But the problem is I don't want to miss out on him. So I'm going to give him every week 2 or 3 clicks before, I start going all in on him. I'm not going to bet him anytime soon. I think he's like 50-1 to win this event or something like that.
He was so bad too. What was the hero that he played? He was so bad.
He was
like,
very, very. No, he wasn't very bad because I looked at this. I think his first round he shot in 81. Then he came back and shot in the 60s the second round.
Okay.
And then he went and shot like a 79 in the third round.
If you shoot 80 your first round, that's not great.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
But he had 2 rounds in the 60s and then 2 awful rounds. So he's kind of all over the place. K1 wants to know what Hideki's price is. Hideki is 9K. There's another guy that's always injured, another guy that, a star player, you know what I mean? And another guy that's getting overlooked by a lot of people. He's only projected at 10% ownership.
My question
I'm off on Hideki. Hideki's a guy that's burned me far too many times.
Right. I was just about to say that. Do you ever get Hideki right? Because I feel like I never do. Like I played him last week and he was terrible. Like I felt like he was a good play last week, sneaky play. He always models out well. You always think he's going to be good. I don't know. I never get it right.
I can't get behind Hideki ever anymore. I know I will fall trap to it. I always do. But I'm not on Hideki. It was either click Willie Zalatoris 3 times or Hideki 3 times. And I don't know. I have hope for the game of golf with Will Zalatoris. So that's where I'm clicking in that range there.
I think an interesting way to build this week, kind of like to piggyback off what we were just talking about, is to skip the 9Ks. Because I think so many people are going to start with 2 9K guys. I think starting in the 10Ks and then jumping down to the 8Ks is a really interesting way to build this week.
I built a whole bunch of lineups. I know you said you didn't like Tagala. I have a couple clicks with Tagala this week. I built like 3 lineups with Matt Fitzpatrick and Tagala, and then just went down and then went to, Luke List, who I know is an awful golfer, but he's kind of turning it on again.
Okay.
And he's won in the past. I went 2 10K guys, and then I went to a bunch of low 7K guys, and I built 3 or 4 lineups like really solidly like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do that for sure.
Anybody else in the 9K before we jump down a little further?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I think JT Poston is a guy that's getting a lot of clicks and a lot of likes. I'm going to avoid him a little bit this week. Chris Kirk winning. I know he loves playing in Hawaii. His ownership is going to be enormous too. So there's just way too much ownership in that 9K range. 8K range, you got the defending champion Siwoo Kim. You got Denny McCarthy, Justin Rose, who's getting a lot of hype this week. Benny On, who's getting far too much hype this week. Any guys in the 8K range that really stand out to you that you
Yeah,
have to
Benny
play
On.
this week?
Benny On was my guy that stood out, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. He's getting far too much hype. I want to like this range. I just don't. Like, there's just
Yeah.
not. I don't know. Benny On. I mean, 14.3%. I bet it's even higher than that once it's all said and done.
So I like one name in this range an awful lot. He's my second most clicked guy this week. I already mentioned it to you in a text message. And I don't know why. I mean, he's got 2 12th place finishes. He's got 2 missed cuts here, and that's one Keegan Bradley. He's the you didn't even, when I said this to you, I don't even you might have double checked. You might have fact checked me, but I double checked my own facts. He is the 16th ranked golfer in the entire world.
I did not
But
know
there
that.
are 19 guys in this field priced more expensive than Keegan Bradley, and he's got 2 12th place finishes at this event. Keegan Bradley to me, and hold on, let me pull up his ownership percentage here. He's at it's gone up a little bit. He's at 9.9% right now ownership. The 16th ranked golfer in the world, you can get 8K and under 10% right now. How do you not play Keegan Bradley this week?
First off, how is he the 16th ranked golfer in the world? When did that happen?
He's a good golfer.
He is a good golfer, but when did that happen?
You know what's funny? Because if you go to the official World Golf ranking sites, it tells you where they are right now, where they were last week, and where they were at the start of last season.
Yeah.
He was the 16th ranked golfer at the start of the season, and he's
No
still
way.
the 16th ranked golfer right now.
I guess I did not know that.
Keegan Bradley is a sneaky good golfer. People ignore him because they don't like him, because he's kind of rough. Like, is he one? Like, maybe he could be the villain.
He's a
Because he
different
was so
dude than he
pissed
used to
off
be,
at
though.
not playing on the Ryder Cup.
He
could
used
be
to
the
be way
villain.
worse though. Like, he used to be like a cocky kind of douche. He's not really like that anymore. Like, he's a family guy now. Like, he's likable. I mean, he wins and he cries. He's playing golf with his kids.
No, Benny On, not Benny On. Everybody always tries to get me on my pronunciation. It's a good thing they didn't hear me try to pronounce Waialae before the show started. So, no, Keegan Bradley. I like Keegan Bradley because I don't care about personalities when I'm picking golfers to win. I just want to pick golfers I think that are going to win. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about their personalities. You know what I mean?
He's another one of those guys too, like what we were talking about before. Like, his course history is spotty. Like, he
Yeah.
either booms and finishes 12th, or he misses the cut, or 60th.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I'm all in on Keegan Bradley. He is, like I said, I did not bet him because I didn't like the number on him. But I'm all in on him on DraftKings for lineups for sure.
who do you like in the loaded 7K range?
The 7K, there are a lot of names. I think the 3 most quick guys I've got: Brendan Todd, who played really well last week. I like Lucas Glover a lot. Lucas Glover is one of my highest bet guys to win outright. So I like Lucas Glover. I like Luke List, who the last time Luke List won on tour was the last time I hit Luke List. Like, I bet him that week 70-1.
Dang.
You know, Farmers a few years back. I like Luke List, and I like Mark Hubbard. Mark Hubbard's my favorite weaker field golfer.
Even though he has been god awful here,
Yeah.
you still like him?
Yeah, I still like Mark Hubbard. I do, because you're getting Mark Hubbard. If you did not have the deeper field this year, just think about it this way. Other years in the past, the prices of some of these guys in the 7K would be in the 8K. Mark Hubbard last year wouldn't have been 7,200. He probably would have been
High
7,900 or 8,200. At 7,200, I like Mark Hubbard this week.
Okay.
So, you know, there's some of the names that I'm looking at. I didn't bet all those. I bet Luke List and I bet Lucas Glover. Luke List 90-1. I just said on Twitter a few days ago I wasn't going to bet long shots, but here I am betting Luke List 90-1 this week.
There's a lot of guys in this range too that have really good course history. Like, we were talking about
Yep.
that earlier. Like, Kuchar's course history is amazing. Brendan Todd, Putnam's course history is really good. It's 7,500. Ben Griffin, Nick Taylor, Taylor Montgomery. I think Montgomery and Noren are probably my favorite in this range. But I also kind of a sleeper pick. I like Keith Mitchell this week.
Ooh,
Doesn't seem like he would fit the course, but he has good course history.
yeah. You know what's crazy? For as deep as we're talking about this range, very little ownership is going here. All the ownership is in the upper 8 and 9K range. It's very spread out. There's a lot of golfers, and you know, we try to keep a very tight player pool. you're building 20, 25 lineups. You don't want a hell of a lot of names. I
No.
stretched my player pool out a little bit this week, and I got a lot more guys at 3 clicks or 4 clicks instead of 7 or 8
Mhm.
because you could say Aaron Rise got a chance this week. You could say Smalley. You could say David Thompson. You could say Justin Sue, Matt Kuchar. There's a lot of guys, and they're all in that 6, 5, 7% ownership range, which makes it, really easy to click their names occasionally.
Which I think you kinda brought up a good point too, is, like, I feel like getting off the high owned guys, like Glover's 14%, that's not terrible, but, like,
Yeah,
Svensson being 16%, like, that's getting pretty high when
yeah, like
there's not a lot of difference between Svensson, Glover, Rye, like, those guys are all about the same.
you want Benny on. I could say Benny On's name. Golf for some reason, football players I can't say their name.
Can
Golfers,
you say his real name? Benny is a nickname. Can you say
yeah,
his
Benny On. No, I don't even know. Byung Hun An. I don't know.
yeah.
Is that even remotely close? Um, Spencer's one of the names, and he's getting a lot of ownership. I remember doing this show at the start of last season and saying Svensson was going to be one of these guys that breaks out, and he did. So, and it's funny because there's a lot of guys that we're talking about breaking out this year. Is there a guy you feel that everybody's hyping up that not just this week, but this year that everybody thinks is going to break out, but you're just going to lose a lot of money? Because I already know the guy I'm going to lose the most money on this year.
Who's that?
Eric Cole.
You think a regression's coming?
I see I mean, he's 36 or 37 years old, and he's just starting his second year on the PGA Tour. There's
Yep.
far too much Eric Cole hype this year, and I like the guy. And I bet, I mean, 30-1, I bet him to win. But I bet him to win. I got him in lineups, even at his own ownership percentage being high. I just know he's going to be the guy that kills me this year. Far
You
too
know who
many
I
clicks, far
you
too
know
many
who I
bets.
like this week, but also the season? He is hyped, very hyped, but I think he can live up to the hype is Akshay Bhatia. I think he is a guy that I think he's like 8% this week, but, what is he at this week?
So
Oh,
what's his price?
6%. That's insane to me. I mean, this guy just kills easy courses.
Mhm. Yeah, he's a guy that's going to get a. He's another one of those guys that can, I guess, to an extent, save golf. I mean, he's got personality. He lives in a
Yeah,
van. Got a hot girlfriend. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That he picked up online. I
He
mean, he's
can't
got
putt.
the story. You know. I
He
mean,
can't
he
putt.
he, he
I think he uses the cheater putter now, doesn't he?
does he? I don't know.
Yeah,
Does he?
I'm pretty
I
sure.
mean, he's skinny as all can be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, the guy hasn't had a hamburger in 6 months, but you know,
He's on that
you
Willie
know,
Z diet.
yeah, he's a guy that could save golf. I lost a decent amount of money on him last year, but maybe this is the year that he takes it to the next level.
I don't play him ever. Never.
No.
I don't know if I've
I
ever
played him
played
a
him.
bunch. I played him far too often. See, the thing is, I played him last year in deeper fields because he was 6,800, 7K, and stuff like that. Maybe I should stick to him in the weaker
Easy
fields
field.
like this
Yeah,
because I think you really have to take that into account when you're picking golfers. You know, when they're deep fields or not deep fields when you're playing these guys.
100%.
Eric Cole at 9,700. Is he 9,700 good?
Right. He doesn't
You know
win.
what I mean?
That's the problem. He doesn't win. Same with Corey Connors. He doesn't
Yeah.
really win either.
Yeah. No, Corey. Well, Corey Connors won what? Twice in his career.
Once
Once in his
or twice,
career.
yeah. Once or
Yeah,
twice.
that's it. Yeah, and he collapsed in the Canadian Open last year and
He's
cost us
always
all a ton of money.
I think people see him in, the Masters finishing 5th or, in the US Open finishing
I
10th.
refuse to play Corey Connors anymore, especially in the Masters, because it's just not worth it. I mean, the guy is the biggest. He's really good in the first 2 rounds, and then just does nothing on the weekends in any tournament. So
Kinda
I'm
like
over Corey Connors. I'm
kinda
not
like
done. I'm
Scotty
not
Scheffler.
playing Corey Connors.
I'm glad you didn't hear that comment. Keep going.
Oh, I missed it. I missed it.
I said just like Scotty Scheffler. Always looks great in the first 2 rounds, sucks in the 3rd round. Can't putt.
Scotty Scheffler. Scotty
Yeah.
Scheffler better have a big year this year. He better have a big year.
If
So
he could God, if he could just putt, I know he said this for 2 years, but if he could just putt okay,
yeah.
he wins every tournament.
Yeah, I know. He's so good. I just wish he had personality. Give him personality,
Yeah.
and golf would
He's
be
just a
fine.
nice guy.
Yeah,
He's got no personality.
yeah. He doesn't hang out like you hear John Rahm and Tony Finau gambling, in the off season at golf course. Scotty Scheffler goes home, hangs out with his wife and kid. And he's probably got like a ranch in Texas somewhere. He does nothing. Like he has no personality. So you don't see him like Victor Hovland partying with all the girls and stuff. I don't know. It needs a little personality. Do you like any of the guys in the 6K?
There's a few that I actually like.
Okay.
My boy Stewie Sink. You know how I feel about
Okay.
Stewie Sink.
I
I
kind of
like him
forgot
this
about
week.
Stewie Sink for a minute
I
there.
know. He has good course history. He's good around the green. I like him
Yeah.
a bit. Ryan Palmer seems to, for whatever reason, like you wouldn't think would fit this course, but he has pretty good course history too. So he's interesting to me. Neither one of those guys are going to be owned. Vincent Whaley is another one. Just playing good golf. I feel like he's better than that price range.
Mhm.
So I don't mind him this week either.
Yeah. I pretty much stayed away. I clicked a few guys with bad course history, but guys that, I think should fit this type of a course. Just a couple clicks to balance out my Fitzpatrick's. But yeah, I really a majority of my clicks are in that 7K range this week.
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to stay away from the sixes as much as I can.
All right, so let's
Mm.
let's do some lineup builds. What we're gonna do here, guys, lineup builds are brought to you by Fantasy Golf Podcast. They're Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Chad and company, they do a great job. They're sponsoring us. I got their shirt in the mail yesterday. It's a little thin and a little short sleeve for winter weather, so I'm not gonna wear it just yet. But we're gonna build lineups every single week. We're gonna actually start something. We're gonna compete. I'm gonna build a lineup. He's gonna build a lineup. We're not gonna double up on any players. And then next week we'll come back and see who built the better lineup. I'm going to put up on the screen of DraftKings board so everybody sees. I can't really, pick the lineups on the screen because I can only put one up here. But first week of season 4, I'm going to let Jason go first and build his lineup, take the first pick this week.
I was going to let you go first because you're the sexy one, but yeah, okay, that's
I
fine.
am not sexy. Those words have never, ever come out of my mouth.
Well, we've never done it like this. In the past, we always just built the lineup, and it didn't matter if there was
Yeah.
duplicates. But we're going to do a little bit of different. We're just going to rotate picks this year. So
Yep, exactly.
I am going to start with my man Akshay Bhatia, actually.
All right, so you're
A
going
little bit lower in the
Bhatia
price
first.
range.
I'm writing down yours, and I'm just going to put mine on the screen because this is a lineup that I'm going to enter, and I'm going to start right at the top. And I love them, and I'm going to go Fitzpatrick this week with my first pick.
It's magic.
Yeah, Fitzmagic. That's right. Since somebody wanted to compare him to Ryan Fitzmagic, I'm gonna stick with it.
All right, I'm going to pull up a lineup so I can.
Yeah, Marshall.
So I
It's a little
know how much
spicy.
money I have left.
Yeah, it's a little spicy. We can
In the
curse, we can do whatever we want on this show. There are
Let's-
no rules on this show,
We can
Marshall.
swear if we want, stay
Yeah.
up late, whatever we want to do.
I do have to get up early for trending in the AM, so
I'm going to
not
go.
too late.
I'm going to go with somebody that you don't like this week, but I do like this week. I'm going to go Eric Cole.
Okay. I mean, it's not that I don't like Eric Cole. It's just that he's not worth a lot of investment in because of the ownership percentage right now, in my opinion.
I hear you.
All right. I'm just going to go with my favorite players in this lineup. We're going to go Keegan next because I love Keegan this week. I think Keegan is a top 10 play this week. I think he's going to finish in the top 10 this week in this tournament.
You're very bullish on Keegan. I like it.
I am. I like the enemy, and he's the enemy this year. I'm anointing him the enemy, Keegan Bradley, this year.
I'm going to go with Andrew Putnam, another lower owned, good course history guy.
He was on my initial player pool, and then he did not make the final cut of clicks. So
that's ownership based for me. I mean, obviously I'll take him in this, but it's ownership based for me in the overall lineup situation because I don't know. They're saying 10% right now. I feel like it's going to be higher than that. People are going to see his course history and see how he's popped here, and I think it'll be a little bit higher.
All right, so I got 79.50 left. I'm going to drop down to the 7Ks here. I'm going to go Aaron Rye. Aaron Rye's a guy like 2 years, like going into last year, I thought Aaron Rye and Tagala were both on the same trajectory of like up and comers, and Tagala had a better season. I hope and I expect a little bit more from him this year. I'm looking at how he did, in the fall. He's got some pretty solid finishes in the fall swing, and obviously almost won at the BMW PGA.
This is the kind of course for Aaron Rye too. I feel like that fits perfectly. He's an accurate driver of the golf ball. He's a plotter.
Absolutely.
He's not gonna, he's not gonna bomb it out there or anything like that. He's just a solid golfer. So I like that pick too.
Yeah, I like him a lot this week. All right, who's your next pick?
I'm gonna go another guy, not quite as accurate off the tee, but has good course history here. Been playing some good golf lately too. Ben Griffin. I'm gonna go.
Ben Griffin. I kind of forgot about him. Is he even in this field? Like he didn't pop him. Let me check my model. Where did he end up in my model?
Talking about the right guy. Hold on a second.
Kind of forgot. No, he's in the field. 42nd in my model. 17th ranked putter.
Yeah,
27th.
7,400.
Yeah, he's a good golfer. I kind of forgot about him. Honestly, didn't pop enough in my model, so I have no idea. I kind of totally forgot there on that guy. All right, let's see. Where else am I gonna go? I'm down here. Ah, man. We're gonna Oh man, I don't even know where to go now. I've already screwed myself up on this one. We're gonna go Alex Smalley. I like Smalley as a golfer. He's we're just building some lower end guys so I can pick some topper end guys here. So we'll go Alex Smalley here.
So you
Let's see.
have 2 picks left.
Yep.
You have 8,600 per. Is that what it said?
Yep. Yep. I got 86
8,600
left.
per.
So
Okay, I got you.
now you're strategizing
No, no,
to
no, 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 no,
take
no. I was just
8,600 guys
recapping. I
away
was
from
just
me.
recapping for the people
I
out there.
like that. No, it's okay.
I
Strategy.
have 80. I have 2 picks left, 8,800. So we're pretty much in
Okay,
about the
gotcha.
same boat.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go with last week's winner, Chris Kirk.
Okay. All right. In a deep like GPP, I hate Chris Kirk this week just because he's going to be 18 to 22% owned. In a heads up thing or in a single entry where ownership's different, I do like Chris Kirk. He loves playing Hawaii. I'm just staying away from him on GPPs because of ownership.
Top 5 coming this week.
Yeah,
Yep.
man, man.
Yeah.
That's a bold claim, but all right, I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, so we're gonna go a little different here. We are
8,600.
going to go Denny McCarthy.
Denny.
I like Denny McCarthy this week. Not a lot, but I like him in this kind of a situation here. Again, he actually had a terrible finish at the Century last week.
Yeah, but that's okay.
But
He hadn't played in a while.
no, but he's a putter. He's a plotter.
Great
He's
putter.
a short course guy.
Yep.
I like Denny McCarthy a little bit. This week.
Underrated. I feel like he's gonna have a good year. I really
I
do.
hope so. There's a
He
good.
was on my.
It's open. It's open for anybody to have a good year.
He means something
With
to me too.
Ron
He was on my GPP winning lineup last year, so he means something to me
Okay.
as well.
I like how you threw that in there, reminding everybody that you won a GPP so subtly there.
Listen, 35,000 people or something. I don't know. No big deal.
I just beat 35,000 people last year. You know, it's just common knowledge. Everybody does it. Still waiting for mine.
My last pick, I'm going to go Alex Noren.
Alex Noren. All right, I like that. What's that leave on the table for you? I'm just curious.
$200 on the table.
That's not bad. That's good. It's very important for anybody that's watching that's new to DraftKings for fantasy golf. It's very important to leave some money on the table, to kind of differentiate yourself from other.
It all depends too.
Other
It's like
lineups.
that. I feel like that's a way. It depends on what your lineup looks like too.
Mhm.
I think we got to say that too. Is like if you're
True.
playing a chalky lineup, by all means, leave money on the table. If you're playing a less chalky lineup, you don't need to.
Right. I don't know if you saw. I put my last pick on there already because I knew you weren't going to pick them.
Okay.
I went Justin Rose for my last pick on my lineup. Again, a guy that should have better course history than he does here, but he doesn't. So I think maybe this is the week. Maybe he, has a good showing here. That leaves a little bit more. And again, I'm putting this in the single entry, which is the 4K divot on DraftKings. So don't match this, people, please. I don't want to have a dupe.
Or do it in a
let this
different
win.
contest. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that?
Do it in a different contest if you're going to do it.
Yeah. Do it in a different contest, please. There it is. It's entered. It's official.
Yours
My
is
lineup's
entered.
in. I don't have to memorize mine because mine.
Do we want to recap? We want to recap the lineups?
Yeah, go ahead. Yours again were?
So I'll do yours first. So you took, this is the order too, Matt Fitzpatrick, Keegan Bradley, Aaron Rye, Smalley, McCarthy, Rose.
Yeah.
So that's yours.
You did.
So I took, mine is Batea, Cole, Putnam, Ben Griffin, Chris Kirk, and Noren.
There you go. And it's a good thing that K1 wasn't listening last year to this show because I never said Batea. I always would say Badia, and he would have definitely crushed me massively.
Notice that we both built, whether we meant to or not, we both kind of built pretty balanced lineups. Like you started in the 10s, but for the most part, it's a pretty balanced lineup.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the way to go this week. Pretty balanced and all.
I think that's the way to go most weeks.
Yeah, it really is.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. Balanced lineups.
Yep.
Don't outthink yourself if you're new. Look, and I know a lot of my trending in the AM people are watching this show right now. Fantasy golf, man, if you're not playing DFS golf, I mean, it's 10 times the amount of fun that doing fantasy football is, in my opinion. I know you agree with me on that.
It's easier to
It's a
win. I mean, like, it sounds ridiculous. Like, obviously, it took us a while to get good at it, but
yeah.
it's easier to win. Fantasy football,
Even
DFS
when I
is so
knew
hard
nothing
now.
about it, even when I knew nothing about it in 2020 when we started this, I still was winning at a higher frequency than I've been doing fantasy football for DraftKings, like DFS for 15 years. I've been playing fantasy football season long for 20 plus years. I got a higher it's so much easier to as long as you use some basic knowledge, and there's some great content out there. These lineups brought to you by the Fantasy Golf Pod guys and us here at Fairway to Heaven that do great work and break this down. Rick Run Good, fantasynational.com for all your model making. Check them out. And if you like what you see there, let them know Fairway to Heaven to send you because, K1, we've got two sponsors on this show, fantasynational.com and the Fantasy Golf Podcast. So, yeah, I mean, give it a shot. If you've got a few bucks sitting in DraftKings, enter a single entry lineup, use some of the names we mentioned here today, and watch your lineup go up and down, up and down, up and down for 4 straight days, man. It's so much fun.
Well, like you talked about, we've talked about this before in the past. It's like you see your lineup Thursday, you're
Mhm.
pumped. You see your
Yeah,
lineup Friday, you're pissed.
yeah.
Saturday, you're back in it again. It's like, I mean, not to toot my own horn again and sound like an asshole, but so with the contest that I won when I won the at the Memorial last year, I think I was winning like $20 to start the day. So it's like it really like climbs up the leaderboard and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a blast, and it started. I didn't have a lot of lineups last week in the Century. I was in Florida, so I couldn't actually get lineups built till late on Wednesday. So I
Mhm.
did a couple, but it still was going up and down. And then again, follow Fairway to Heaven's Twitter account because that's where you get a lot of information. But the showdown lineups, that's I love my showdowns.
Right.
Round 2, round 3, round 4 showdowns. And again, last week I was winning showdowns again. I love it. I love it. You can also bet golf. I don't know. I know you're not big into the betting aspect of it, um, but I'm trimming down. I got a little too out of control. I hit a lot last year, but I was betting too big. Didn't get over my head, but still, I'm just simplifying things this year. I just want to pick the golfers. I'm not worried about the money aspect of it. So I'm going to pick 4 to 6 golfers every week. I got 6 bets this week because again, I'm spread out. There's not nobody in like 10 to 1, 12 to 1 that I like. Um, Eric Cole, Tagala to win. I don't like him in DraftKings, but I like him to win. He's either a winner or miss the cut guy. Brendan Todd, Lucas Glover, Aaron Rye, and Luke List. They're my bets this week.
You know what, too? I think you just kind of brought up an interesting point without meaning to. Is that's the cool part about golf too? Is that you might be good at different things.
Right.
Like you said, you kind of narrowed down like what you're good at gambling wise. You could play one and done. You could play DraftKings. You could
Mhm.
gamble on it. You could do top 10 bets, head to head bets. Like it's just about finding what you're good at. And I think that's the biggest thing
Yep.
on DraftKings too. Is find a contest, mess around with different contests. Find a contest
Yep.
that you're good at and stick
Yep.
to it.
I think somebody had a poll on that, like, and they were. I think it was Chad actually from Fantasy Golf Pod. What's most important, ownership percentage, this or that? And
Mhm.
one of the options on his poll was picking the right contest. And I think that's such an underrated thing
I
to
think that
do.
is number one. I think that is by
Yeah.
far the most important thing.
Yeah.
I think
Find out
like
what
some
your
people.
skill levels and play it like me. I used to dominate the 20 max entry quarter jukeboxes. Dominate them. Last year, I bumped up to the $1 20 max. And I had a little bit less success last year. Well, this year I'm going to go back to the quarter jukeboxes
Mhm.
because that's where my success is. And obviously my success is in the showdowns, the one round events, and I'm just going to keep pounding them all year long. That's where my success is. So I'm
We
going to
should
stick to what do they say? Keep it simple, stupid. That's what I'm going to do this year
we should
with where
keep
my money goes.
maybe in one of these weeks coming up soon, we could do a little tutorial on Showdown, like kinda how you do your process on the Showdown.
Absolutely.
I
We
think that
could
might be a good
definitely
idea.
do it because I actually have the showdown lineup philosophy down to a T, in my opinion. So we could definitely get into that. This week I want to talk a few other, general things, but real quick, we're gonna have a head-to-head me versus Jason one and done contest this year. We're just gonna go one and done. We're each gonna pick one golfer every week. We can overlap. It doesn't matter. You
Mhm.
can only take them once the entire season. And then we're going to use Jason's math. He's going to track how much money each golfer wins each week. And whoever wins the most at the end of the year, we will crown the champion of the one and done contest. You went first on the DraftKings.
You're going
I'm going
first.
to go first here. I mean, it doesn't matter because you can pick the same guy. Um, I am going to go with Chris Kirk for my one and done
Chris
this year.
Kirk, wow, I like it.
Yeah, because he's not. I don't like him as a DraftKings play, ownership wise. I don't know if he's going to win, but like you said, he's a top 5, top 10 finish this week, so he's going to make me money
Yep,
this
for
week.
sure.
And he loves Hawaii, and I don't like Chris Kirk all year long. So Chris Kirk, I'm just going to get him out of the way right here, week 1 of season 4.
I'm gonna do the same thing with a guy that I would never play any other week except this week, Andrew Putnam.
Oh wow. I don't know if I'll. I don't. You know what? Andrew Putnam strikes me as a guy that I probably won't pick once all year.
You won't.
in one and
You
done.
probably won't even play him in DraftKings, but
Probably
this
not.
is the course history week.
All right, I got it. All right, so we've already, touched on a few season-long topics and stuff like that. Is there anything like I ran a whole string of polls, and now it's been a week since we were going to do a show last week to kick the season off. Travel got in the way of that and stuff like that. Anybody that you want to talk about season-long wise that's not in this field that we haven't touched on yet? Someone that you think might break out, someone that might win a major, someone that you think is going to just completely collapse this year. Anybody that's really touching you this week?
I think I was kind of thinking about this earlier. I think we were talking earlier. They need something that moves the needle right now. The PGA Tour does. I think the PGA Tour desperately needs both Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas to have a huge year. I feel like if they could get going, obviously they're buddies. We know they're buddies. Like if they could both get going, those are two guys that people love, people want to see. I mean, like last year was kind of fun with Ricky coming back after kind of sucking a little bit. Justin Thomas was terrible last year. Those two guys can move the needle, and I feel like they desperately need both of those guys to come back.
I think
And
that's a
hopefully-
really fair point. Well, JT was in my poll for comeback player of the year because I think he can. I don't think he's going to take one of those Ricky. He's too good
No,
to take
he's
one
too
of those Ricky Fowler drops. And I put Jordan Spieth in the poll on which golfer is going to take the biggest jump in the world golf rankings. He is right now ranked 15th. I could see Jordan Spieth getting back into the top 10, and that would be good for golf because that would mean he's winning and contending week in, week out. Spieth, I don't know. Spieth to me could, if he wanted to pretend, be that villain. He's kind of got a very cocky, arrogant way
Yes.
about him. He's like that guy that flops on every foul call or complains to the referee on every pass. You know what I mean? Spieth literally is complaining about every shot all the time.
And they purposely air him and Michael his caddy.
Yeah.
They purposely air their back and forth all the time.
Yeah, all the time. All the time. So Spieth, I don't want to say he could be like the villain, but Spieth is one of those, polarizing characters
Yep, 100%.
that could definitely help golf a lot. And JT, JT said some bad things at times in golf, you know what I mean? So, I like those two things.
Spieth is the guy, like kind of what you just said, like the polarizing guy. Like people either love Jordan Spieth or hate him. There's like zero in between.
How about Ricky Fowler? Could Ricky Fowler save golf? We haven't really mentioned his name this year much.
I don't think
He
good
kind
enough.
of made sort of a comeback. He won. I think I was on Ricky the week he won. I forget who else. I know a lot of people were on Ricky that week. I forget which event it was.
Detroit.
Ricky's a popular guy. He's in commercials. He's all over. Is Ricky a guy that can move the needle back? I don't know.
People love him. I just don't think he's good enough. Like, I mean, he's obviously a good golfer, but I just don't think he's
better
not a
than you and me. That's for sure.
He's not a superstar.
He was trending in that way 10 years ago, though, for sure.
Right.
I don't know.
You know what I heard today? I heard a wild stat about Ricky Fowler. I think Kenny Kim from the Fantasy Golf Degenerate said this. Did you know that Chris Kirk versus Ricky Fowler in their career? Chris Kirk has played 8 more events in his career than Ricky. They have the same amount of wins.
Kirk is the same.
That's wild, isn't it? The wild.
And Chris Kirk went like 75 years in between,
Right.
didn't he?
Right. Yeah, and he had that drinking problem and everything. He had to stop playing golf.
Yeah.
And
Wow, man. All right, so if you had to pick one of the top, it all comes down to the 4 majors of the year. You got the top names, Rahm and Koepka over on Live. You got Rory. You got Scheffler still on the PGA Tour. Are any of those 4 big names going to win a major this year?
I think Rahm does.
You
I think
Rahm
Rahm
does?
wins the
I
US
think
Open.
Rahm or Koepka. You're going. I really think a Live golfer will. So I phrased it like this: will a Live golfer win on the PGA? They're only going to play in the majors. I think John Rahm has a damn good chance to repeat as Masters champion.
Cam Smith is interesting too at the Open.
Oh yeah. You know me; I'm always a Cam Smith fan. I love the mullet.
I know.
And do you see any of the guys getting a first time major winner this year, like a Xander or a Homa or a Cantley, any of those guys, or somebody else in that level. You know,
I
you
think the
can always
easy
get the Wyndham Clark or the Brian Harmon that
yeah.
sometimes have a chance, but golf needs somebody to save it. Or can any of the elite guys break through and win a major?
I think Hovland's the easy pick. I think that's the trendy pick that everybody's
Yeah,
gonna say,
that's why
which
I didn't put his name on
which
the poll. I
right,
left him option as other, and I
right,
got a lot of people commenting on
yeah.
Hovland.
But I think, the next of that batch outside of Hovland is gonna be Homa. I can see
Right.
Homa winning, like, the US Open or PGA, one of those.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Max Homa is my guy because I don't talk a lot about Max Homa, but I have in the last 3 years since I've been tracking outrights. I've got well, I got like 16 outrights picked in the last couple of years, and every single time Max Homa wins, I nail it. I've never in 3 years I've never missed a Max Homa win, and I don't know why. I have a good judgment when Max Homa is going to be in contention, and I seem to always hit it.
Which is true because he's one of those guys that, like, we used to talk about this with, like, Bubba courses. There's
Yeah,
Homa courses. Like,
there is.
he's not gonna win the birdie fest. He's not
No,
that guy, but a
he's a
tough
grind.
course
He's a grind.
yeah,
I would be all in on Max Homa this week.
yeah.
You know, a grinder course like this, which it's a grinder course this week in Honolulu, but it's also a birdie fest if the weather. It's
Yeah,
weird. It's a grinder course that could turn into a birdie fest really easily.
yep, yep,
Yeah. All
100%.
right. Yeah. Final question of the day. Somebody asked it earlier in the show. We'll bring it up. Who should sponsor Tiger Woods
What's with all these
outside
guys
of Fairway?
leaving, like
Should he start wearing Fairway to Heaven shirts out on the golf course?
well, I guess I don't know the backstory to this enough, but why are all these
I
guys
don't
leaving
either.
Nike? Why did Day leave Nike? Why is Tiger leaving Nike?
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know Daly was too. I don't know.
Not Daly,
Maybe
Jason Day.
maybe Nike's just getting out of the golf business. I don't know. I mean, they already stopped making clubs because their clubs sucked terribly.
So I'm guessing Tiger's gonna make his own brand, right? I mean, he already has his own brand through
Yeah,
Nike, but I'm guessing it's gonna be his own brand, right?
maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's starting his own brand for Charlie. Instead of the TW, it's going to be a C with a W in the
This is
middle
gonna
of
be
it.
sweet.
I'm telling you, I cannot wait till Charlie Woods plays in his first professional event, even if it's as an amateur.
He's 14.
It's to me the saving grace of golf is Charlie Woods. I
Okay,
just love it.
here poll question for you. Who has the better career in their respective sport? Charlie Woods or Bronny James?
Wow. Well, I got to go Charlie Woods just
Me
because
too.
I don't know how Bronny's heart is feeling these days.
Jeez.
Well, he had
I
a
think
heart. He had like a heart failure on a
I
court
think
or something.
I would just go from it as just upside. I think he's a decent role player, I feel like.
Who? Bronny?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean,
Mhm.
can we just talk big picture for a second? It's gotta suck to be Bronny and Charlie to have the second greatest basketball player of all time as your dad, and to
Right.
have the first or second best golfer of all time, and then to actually be good in those sports as well. Like,
Well, at
talk
least
about
Charlie doesn't have the
pressure.
same name as him. Like, Bronny's got the same he's LeBron James Jr. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
brutal. Like
talk about pressure right there.
yeah,
That's a, you know, like he couldn't play baseball or football. Like Charlie
right,
Woods couldn't pick up tennis.
right,
Like you literally have to live in the shadow of your goated, dad the
right,
entire time.
right.
That's insane. I don't know.
I will say I do like how much Tiger's invested in his kid and LeBron's always at his kids' games. Like, I do like that. It's cool.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I love the video of Tiger from this offseason chatting with Colin Morikawa on the range
Mhm.
about, Colin's like, has he out, or he tells Colin he
Yeah,
outdrove me today. And he's like, has he beaten you yet? He's like, no, but almost a few
yeah.
times and stuff like that.
Did you see
I
that
love it.
video
Like,
when they played that, father-son tournament a few weeks ago
yeah,
when they were at the range before and they were chipping, and Charlie chipped a shot. I guess it was you couldn't see where it went or anything, but, Tiger was just like, "Yep, we're ending on that one, nasty," and then he comes around the corner, he's like, "Fucking nasty."
like I mean, the guys are. I mean, he's already got the same mannerisms as Tiger. Like when he
Yeah.
hits the ball, like the same like emotional like look on his face on every
Same
shot.
swing, they
I'm
stand the
telling
same,
you.
they walk the same.
If I'm thinking that he could save golf, you got to think Moynihan and the PGA Tour are already thinking about it. Like
Oh,
they
for
know
sure.
that that's their take. They got to hope that Tiger can play 7 events. How many events can Tiger play? He'll play the 4 majors. He said he'll probably play the Genesis this year.
I was gonna say
That's
Genesis for sure.
yeah, that's
Maybe
5.
maybe,
Maybe he
Memorial, maybe?
yeah. What isn't there? I mean, I know the one in it, a couple weeks ago he sponsored. Doesn't he sponsor one other event throughout the year? Is that the Memorial? No, it's not the Memorial.
Genesis. It's Genesis, isn't it?
Oh, Genesis. So yeah, that's why he plays Genesis. Can he play 7 events? Is that
Players
enough?
1 and 2. Yeah, I don't know.
I said it last year. I don't know if it was a show you were on or one of the weeks you skipped. That I said if I was the PGA Tour to save golf, I would make an exemption to get Tiger Woods a golf cart. Why not?
Over other events Tiger plays in this year, 4.5.
I would take the over because he's
Okay.
going to play the 4 majors and he's going to play the Genesis.
Okay.
I mean, that's if he stays healthy, but I'll
If he
take the
stays
over on
healthy.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Tiger Woods win an event this year?
No.
Does he finish in the top 10 of the major this year?
No.
I think he finishes. I think I don't. Oh man, I want the PGA Tour to be good again. I
Right.
want the PGA Tour to be entertaining again. I don't know.
They gotta figure something out.
They got to figure something out. Anyway, we're going to wrap up the first episode of season 4 of Fairway to Heaven right there. Make sure you're following the Jason at JSully2121. Me, as always, at Beard and Knowledge. Make sure you subscribe, share, retweet wherever you are watching. Facebook, 2 different YouTube pages, 3 different Twitter pages. Shows all over the place tonight. But we're here every single Tuesday night, 9 p.m. for now. Maybe if my work schedule changes, we'll try to get the show on a little earlier in the night, Monday or Tuesdays. But for now, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. every week. For Jason Sullivan, I am Phil Stiefel. We'll be back next week. Again, who wins this week? Final choice. I know we did our one and done, but you had to go $100 all in on one guy. Who wins?
Chris Kirk.
Yeah, I just can't do it. I would not go to 100.
Who wins your one and done pick?
Yeah, not my one and done pick is not going to win. And I'm going to go Putnam. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I really have no clue. But yeah, I like my bets. I'll stick to one of my bets. I'll say Eric Cole wins. Why not? Even though I just said he's going to disappoint this year. Why not Eric Cole? Everybody have a great night. We'll be back next week with another episode. For Jason, I'm Phil. Have a good night, guys.